Welcome to Ask Earl Anything. This is a show where your questions make the show. Without your questions, we don't have a show. This is for April 2024. Happy Easter, everybody. This is the Saturday before Easter Sunday, the last day of March. I just want to say Happy Easter to you all. I plan on putting this out early in the month. That's the plan. I have a bunch of questions. Last month's show I got mixed feedback. It wasn't the normal crew wasn't there, it seemed like, and maybe it was too long. Maybe I sent the wrong message with the thumbnail. I don't know. Something messed it up where I didn't get as much first day pop on it that I normally get. So maybe maybe it's time to take it back and dial it back a little bit. Don't know. I am going to try to make the show quicker today, and I am going to jump into the questions. I just want to shout out to all the people that follow me every day. Thank you for your comments and responses and everything else. This month we have a bunch of questions, good questions, and I'm going to try to answer them in the best of my ability, as always. No video questions. I always do like video questions. Of course, please like and subscribe. I said that early in the show. Please like and subscribe. Check my merch out. If you want an Ask Earl Anything t-shirt, I do need to change the design of that t-shirt one of these days. I think I will be soon. So that might be a historic t-shirt pretty soon, so when I change it. Anyhow, the merch, all that stuff doesn't really matter. What matters is connecting with you and your questions. So this month, these are a bunch of questions that came after Ask Earl Anything last month. So let's start off with the first one. It was on the Ask Earl Anything show. It's by a drummer named Tim Reed, 5477. He actually has three questions. They're all kind of tied together. The first question is, do you still practice? How much did you practice in the early days? And what exactly do you practice? All right, great questions, Tim. Do I still practice? To be honest, practice today is different than in the early days. Where most of my practice occurs is me playing grooves and learning songs. What does happen is I will just sit at the kit sometimes and just play riffs and licks and work out something I saw on YouTube or some pattern I want to learn, maybe work out a rhythm of a song I'm learning. But for the most part, the most practice I do today is every once in a while I'll pick up some sticks on a practice pad and I'll do the first page of the Gattaments called the warm-up, or I'll just do open rolls, paradiddles, flam taps, etc. Or I have a book, a sight reading book that I read, and I'll just try to read some snare drum lines on the pad. That's the kind of practice I do today. I don't have like a practice regiment. I'm not a guy that works on my hands every day. I really enjoy playing. That's what I really do. So practice is playing. So when I sit down at the kit and play, that's really when I'm working on things. And when I learn songs for YouTube, it is learning the songs. Now I have a methodology that how I learn songs. I listen to songs over a few times. I listen in headphones now with Moises or X-Track stems. Sometimes I'll play the song through once. I did a song today, a Carpenter song that I never heard before called You. At least I don't think I heard it. I might have heard it on a record, but it didn't kind of catch me. It's not one of their hits. Somebody asked me to play it. So I played along with it the first go-round, put my own track on it. I was close. I mean, it would have been acceptable to get through the gig. If I had to get through the gig and somebody called this tune I never heard, it would have been totally acceptable. But I wanted to learn the parts. So the second pass, what I did was I just turned on the drum track and listened to the drum track. Oh, that's what he's doing here. That's what he's doing there. I kind of caught the spots. I went through it another 4 times, and I kind of had the tune. And it's not perfect to what he did, but it's really close. The sections are right. The fills are kind of like it. It's a Jim Gordon groove, so it was kind of cool. He kind of locks it in. He's a studio drummer. So that's how I kind of learn. I kind of spend a lot of time learning songs and learning parts to songs, but it's really pulling from my repertoire. So the first part is, do I practice? Yes, but not any kind of consistency. What exactly do I practice? Again, when I do practice, here's a couple books I practice from. First off, I practice from this book called Realistic Rock. I have another book called The Funk Drumming Workbook. I'll work on patterns I know, and this is like my first book. This is not my original first book, but this is the first rock drumming book I ever did. Second book was Advanced Techniques for the Modern Drummer, which this is my original copy at $6 a copy. This was volume 1. I don't know why it was $6. I guess there was no additions to it. This printing I probably got was the 77 printing, was the 28th printing of the book. So 1977, I started this book. I did this book in 1976. And another book that I have that I've used lots of stuff is Syncopation. And then there's a book called Stick Control. So you take Stick Control and you take Syncopation, you take Realistic Rock, and then you take Advanced Techniques to the Modern Drummer, and then you look on my library and you see I've got another 30 books that I've kind of played in at different points in time. And I have lots of reading material. So I am a school drummer. I went to college. I studied snare drum. I studied marimba. I studied timpani and drum set. And all these things are part of my vocabulary, how I learned how to play. Now, my main focus for the last 40 years has been playing drum sets since I left college. So I will say if I had a mallet part, it would really scare me to have to look at a mallet part. I might be able to cop some of it, but I would never be able to play it and sight read it with any kind of accuracy. But I had exposure to it. I had exposure to classical music. I had exposure to jazz, rock, funk. And you know what the biggest practicing tool that I still use today is listening. I actually listen to music, and that's how I learn music, is listening to it. Like I was saying before about the Moises, listening to that drum track. I didn't listen to it like 50 times and write a chart out. I listened to it, got the sections, and heard his groove. So when we were playing it, I was kind of sitting in with the bass player. I kind of knew where it was going. So that's part of it. So I would say I still practice. I practice out of these books when I do want to practice. My early days were college. I played in college and I studied in college. I had teachers. But since 22, I've had a couple lessons since 22. I took a couple lessons. I took one lesson with a guy named John Favicchia, kind of helped me with my hands a little bit. I took two lessons with J.R. Robinson. And I haven't really taken any lessons since. I do hang out with drummers that have lots of ideas and stuff, so sometimes we'll share things. But I haven't taken drum lessons and really practiced for drum lessons in years. I would love to take some more drum lessons, though, with some great drummers. But probably for other reasons other than just having them pick me apart, you know what I mean? Anyhow, hope that helps, Tim. What I would say to you is keep practicing, keep playing. If you really want to learn book stuff, get a teacher. Do I teach? I do teach. And I am available to do Skype lessons. That's the kind of lessons I do. And I've done it for a few people. I don't do a lot of lessons these days, but because my schedule's kind of busy with work. But I do take students if somebody really wants to take lessons from me. We do a couple lessons and see how it worked. So if you're up for that, let me know. All right. Next question comes from Jose Salazar, DM8BC. He said, where did you learn to play like that? This was on Ask Earl Anything too. You have a special relationship with your kits and both become one. What is the extent of your percussion and drum education? Are you an instructor or a teacher by chance? Also, what kind of batter heads do you use on your kit? That's another 3-question Ask Earl Anything question. All right, let's talk about this. This was on Sub of the Year. This goes back a couple Ask Earl Anythings. Like I just said, I do teach. I did study college. I had a couple great teachers in college. I definitely teach. The special relationship with the kits is the way I get into music. And again, it's listening. I think the most important thing for a drummer is to listen. Listen to as much music as you possibly can, and listen and then try to play along with it. I mean, I learned how to play drums just playing the records, and then I took some lessons. So my early drumming, for the first 9 months of drumming, probably, yeah, pretty close to 9 months, was me basically sitting down with records and playing along to them and trying to learn them the best I could. Now, I'm not saying they were very good back then, but I will tell you this, that's how I started to learn. And then one day I started taking a couple lessons. And then the guy with the lessons said, oh, you hold your sticks wrong, so do this with your sticks. You know, I learned traditional. Eventually I would learn matched when I was playing timpani and playing xylophone and marimba and vibraphone and stuff in college. And then I realized matched had some more advantages to rock drumming and big drum kits, so I learned how to play matched. I still have a tendency to go to this once in a while. This is more of a traditional field snare drum kind of style, which I did in high school. I played snare drum and tenor drum in high school. So, and tim toms back in the day, they were called tim toms. Now I don't know what they call them, but we've come a long way in marching bands. Let's put it that. Now the DCI, you know, International Drum Corps stuff, you know, it's way further than where I was in high school. But yeah, I mean, early lessons were important, but the most important thing I learned early on was how to listen to music. And today I learn most of my music 99% of the time by listening to it over and over again and finding the parts. Now, I've gotten to the point where I'm pretty good at getting something pretty quick, where I rarely kind of work on something longer than an hour. It'd have to be a really complicated piece of music, longer than 2 or 3 minutes for sure. Most of the music I play on YouTube is stuff I can learn in probably 30 minutes and kind of have it down before I hit 60 minutes for sure. Sometimes I get the song down in 15 minutes. You know, I released a song today, Sugar Town. I don't think I played that for 15 minutes. It was just a basic brush pattern. So I did like 2 or 3 tracks of it, and then I tried it again. And I was really just trying to beat myself, you know, see if I can get a better track. But, you know, that's the way I work. So your ears are probably your most important tool to learning how to play drums. But yes, I teach lessons, and if somebody wants to take lessons with me, this is the second time I'm actually talking my lesson business, contact me. We'll try to work something out. I do Skype lessons. If you're in the West Palm Beach area, maybe we can take a lesson in-house. That would be an interesting way to do it too, the old way. All right, my next question comes from Frank Bain, ZU5YU. Earl, is it always the drummer who has to count the band? Count the band. It's doing my head in one day, and it's too fast another day, and it's too slow. Ringo never counted in. Okay, so I think what you're trying to say is, do you have to count in the band? And I will say you need to learn how to do that. Now, there's some tricks to doing this. First off, I play in a lot of church situations where there's click tracks, so the click kind of counts the band in. We know where we're going. Clicks are very good at that. Clicks are also very good for keeping you consistent. A lot of pro drummers today, even if they're going to turn the click off, will have their clicks programmed as a starting point. So let's see if my click track is set up today. Oh, it is. Here we go. That's pretty messed up. So that's 90. So if you know the tempo of the song and you can program it on a click, it's a good way to start. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So count it in. Now, there's other ways to count things in. One of the tricks for live gigs where you've got to play along with like a vocalist or something is to sing the chorus of the song. by singing the chorus of the song, where there's a little bit, usually the lift or the push, if you can sing that, a lot of times it'll get you into the tempo of the song, if you can sing it in your head. So let's see. Think of China Grove. Dan, 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 dan. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Bah, bah. So sometimes thinking of the song, thinking of the riff, so you don't start it off too fast. Back in the day, that was the way it was done. Now, if you get a guitar player who wants to count the song off for you and wants it at a certain tempo, follow them. That's another way of doing it. But click tracks have made things very consistent, and that's why a lot of churches use clicks, a lot of shows use clicks. A lot of time in in-ear monitors, you're using click tracks to keep the tempo very consistent. Back in my day when I started playing music, if the guitar player wanted to rush things, he would count it off really fast, and then he'd blame the drummer for playing it really fast, but you counted it off there. So whoever counts it off is going to get the blame for the tempo, as long as the drummer keeps the tempo going. Now, there are drummers that drag, and there are drummers that rush. That's why playing with a click is really important to kind of locking in. So working with click tracks is really important. And just taking your metronome and putting it on and playing along with it without even headphones on is a good practice technique. You know, it's one of the things I do practice once in a while, is I'll just throw the metronome on and see if I can lock in with it. So this is 54. And by the way, playing at 55 is pretty stinking hard sometimes. That's why it's a good thing to practice. I had this guy, John Favicchia, who I took a lesson from, who's a friend of mine. He had me working on snaps at 60. So basically, you put the metronome to 60, and you did this for like 5 minutes. Now, the exercise was to get the hand snapping and pulling it back, just doing full stroke snaps. But the other part of it is listening to a metronome at 60 and locking in with 60. By the way, 60 is half of 120. 120 is the disco beat, staying alive. Ah, 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 staying alive, staying alive. Ah, 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 staying alive. Ah. So, metronome tricks, that's what I'm talking about here. It helps your time too. So practicing metronome different tempos, knowing the tempos of the songs that you're doing and being able to sing the chorus, these will be techniques you can use on a gig to count the band in. They're all helpful. Now, you choose the ones you want to use though. That's the key to the whole thing. But practicing with a metronome is important. And if you noticed, it goes I'm a little bit there and there, but you know what? I don't do it enough, and I should do it some more. So, as you can see, but I do play with a click a lot when I play in churches. So, anyhow, thanks for the question, Frank. That was a good question, and it's a very common question too. All right. My next question comes from Greg Oneoff, and Greg asked the question for Ask Earl Anything. Can you tell me what the black plastic thingy is on my hi-hat stand? It spins and moves up and down and feels like there's a spring inside. I have no idea what the type of adjustment it makes. What type of adjustments it makes. All right, so basically that is the tension adjustment of the hi-hat stand. Now, it's kind of like the tension spring on a pedal. How much you want to mess with the tension spring on a pedal when you buy one is up to you. Some guys like to mess with it. If you're Larry London, the famous session drummer from Nashville who passed away in 1992, Larry London was known for taking his pedal's tension spring and tightening it up so tight that it was hard to push down on. But that's the way he played his pedals. Now, I'm a guy that has learned to play on pedals, everybody's pedal. So I usually have no problem if the pedal is set at a medium tension playing the pedal. I don't have to play my pedals on a gig. And a lot of times at a church, I will just play the pedal that's there. I may bring my pedal if it's the first time, but once I know the church pedal pretty well, I won't touch it. I'll just deal with the pedal that's there because I'm lazy. I don't want to bring my pedal. I don't want to get bent down and have to set my pedal up. If the pedal's at a medium tension, it's easy to use the kick pedal that way. Same thing with the hi-hat stand. So most people don't touch their hi-hat stand. It comes in a nice tension and it's fine. But if you got a hi-hat spring that's getting wonky, you might want to tighten it up. If you tighten it up, it gets tighter. If it gets too tight though, maybe it'll affect the way you can do the swish. And that swish is a certain thing. By the way, the squeak you hear is something has to do with the clutch, believe it or not. This clutch does squeak. Drives me nuts because I love this clutch. So, do you touch it? Probably not. If you like your tension on your pedal, on your hi-hat, I wouldn't touch it. Just like bass drum pedals. When it comes out of the box, I usually leave it alone. Now, have I touched it? Yes. I don't need the pedal spring too tight or too loose. I like it nice in the medium. Medium is fine. Most springs and most hi-hat stands and kick drum pedals, when they come out of the box, are perfect tension for me. So I don't have to mess with them too much. But I have replaced them, and I have messed with them, and I've had to find my little spots. But don't mess with it too much where it's overly tight. Make sure it's tight enough to get the bounce you want out of it, but not overly tight. So the answer to the question is yes, it's the spring adjustment, Greg, and it's something that unless you want to play with it, you don't play with it. That's been the way I deal with it. So it's a good question. Matter of fact, yours looks very similar to mine, except I've got a double brace. So it's probably the same one. It's got little notches in it, mine. Mine's got little notches. You can hear it click when you turn it, so you know how far you're turning it. So if you go up 3 clicks and you don't like it, you can go back 3 clicks. That works. But not all of them are that way. Sometimes it's just a thing you just kind of, like the old Ludwigs had this little thumb screw thing, and you tighten it and tighten it. And once it got too tight, finding the original medium tension might be hard. So just make sure you know what you're doing. All right. Next question comes from Mickey F3730. And he liked the 7/4 part on Ready or Not, Steve Porcaro. He said, can you play this main groove on Ask Earl Anything? So, let's see. Really, I have to listen to the song to play this thing. So that's the truth of that one. So let's see if I can find Ready or Not. So I'm going to go into my Spotify. I'll probably have to cut this for a second. Go ahead. So it's a 7 pattern, Mickey. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. So, how do you break that down? The key thing here is it's not 4/4. So 4/4. So instead of doing that, it's 7/8. So I'm counting eighth notes. So now I know it's 7/8, not 7/4. So let's see, it's 7/8, not 7/4. I have a tendency to just know it's in 7. That's the way I think about it. So all you're doing is taking 1/8 note away. By the way, it's a tricky little pattern. It took me a little bit to figure it out, and it took me a little bit to play that tune and get it right. And I still didn't get it perfect, but I got the vibe of the song. Very cool song by Steve Porcaro. Steve Porcaro is Jeff's brother, who's still alive. He's the alive the alive Porcaro brother. Both Mike Porcaro, the bass player, and Jeff passed away. But Steve wrote this song. This is Shannon Forrest on drums of the song. I had a lot of fun playing it. By the way, on that Steve Porcaro album are 2 tracks where Jeff played. So they were old tracks that they were going to use for Toto they never used. And Steve took them and repurposed them and turned them into, did use Jeff's original track. So it's kind of a cool album to actually listen to. I will say that Drumico Gunther from Germany is the one who played the song, and I saw it and I liked it. And I started listening to the album and I liked this song, so I decided to do the same one he did. But there's a bunch of songs on the album, but it's in 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then it's the rhythm that they're playing on the piano part. Doom, got, doom, doom, got, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. Bones, got, gun, gun. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2. Once you get the 7 in your head, you can do it. Now, some guys count 7. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, and they never go into the 4s. But I have a tendency to count it just straight 7. That worked for me. So, hopefully, Mickey, that helps you find an approach to it. Listen to the song, put it on, count the 7, and just play along with it and get comfortable playing in odd times. Odd times is a different ball game. I'm not a great odd time player, but I've played enough songs at different odd times to let you know that you can do it if you can break it down in your head. And it's really a 4/4, which is minus 1/8 note. That's the way you look at it. So it's 7/8 is the time signature. Hopefully that helped you. All right, let's see what else we got. Thank you, Mickey, for that question. This is a question from Jack Niles. Jack said, cool. This was on ZZ Top's Cheap Sunglasses. What are your thoughts on 1971 to 1980s Black Label 2002s? First off, I wish I had a few. Okay? Truthfully, I haven't played a lot of them. I had an opportunity for an 18-inch 2002 crash probably about 15 years ago from my friend Ken Burton. I really wasn't into Paiste at that point. I was playing a lot of Sabians. And my collection was mostly Sabian. I had a few Paistes. We couldn't work out a deal where I could get that from them, because if I could have, I would have probably taken it. I think the Black Label 2002s might be heavier than the 2002s of today, believe it or not. The late 70s, they were starting to go heavy. That's where the direction was going. But I really don't know because I don't own them. But I would love to have a Black Label 2002 Ride or Crash or hi-hats. If I can find them for the right price, I'd do it. Problem is the prices of cymbals are just off the chain right now. So I really bought most of my cymbals in the 2000 teens and got good deals on them. The good deals on cymbals are just gone right now. So it's very hard. The newer cymbals are good, and the Red Label 2002s are great. I love them. I mean, this ride is incredible. The crashes are incredible. My 18's great. This is a 16 over here. I love the giant beats. They're a little thinner. They've got a different shimmer to them. They have a different lathing pattern. They fit in nice with the 2002s. So I'm sure Black Label 2002s are great cymbals. And if you can find some, pick them up. Just don't overpay for stuff. Because truthfully, I don't know if you're going to get better or worse to what it is today. But I'd try them if I could find one at a good price. Or if I got in a deal with a drum kit or something, I'd buy them in a heartbeat. So I think they're very cool, Jack. So give them a try if you get a chance at them. Also, this is the Black Label 505, by the way. So this is probably very reminiscent. Matter of fact, when I bought this Black Label 505, which is from the Danny Gottlieb collection, Danny was an endorser of Paiste back in the 70s and 80s, early 80s. I mean, he picked this for some reason. I played it up against a 20-inch 2002 Red Label. So it's probably like 81 to 89, somewhere in there. And I like this better than the 2001. So they were making heavier cymbals back then. The 2002 20-inch crash cymbal sounds amazing today. So, I mean, I like the way they're making cymbals today in the 2002s. But the 2002 I played of Danny Gottlieb's, because I was in Maxwell's drum shop when I picked this cymbal out. It was more money, but it didn't impress me as much as this one did. And this cymbal fits in perfectly with 2002s today. My 2002s. Perfect. This is a great crash. I've really, really found a voice with this and the 18 2002. They sound great. With those, with my 505 bottom over the 2000 Sound Edge. Great cymbals. So I love my Paiste cymbals. I have Sabians, I have Zildjians, but when it comes to recording in this room, the Paistes are my choice every time, just about, because they just sound great. Now, in a live gig, in a certain kind of room, they can be overbearing. So I've learned that. I've taken them in churches, and I don't like it. The new church I'm playing at, I'm playing actually the 13-inch Dimension light heavy hi-hats. I'm playing this 16-inch crash and this 18-inch Giant Beat thin. And the other day I brought the Giant Beat 20 multi, and it was great. I had 3 crashes, one that I could ride on, and those hi-hats were perfect for that room. And they sounded I was the best I sounded on that kit. I was very impressed by the sound I was getting. So Paiste works in a booth. But when I was playing at this other church where I was out in the open, this thing was killing. I brought this one day, and I really heard about it the next time I played. So, love the ride cymbal, but my Zildjians worked better. I used to use my dark Caropes in that room, and it worked. So, knowing what cymbals to use in a room is a whole other art form. And if I was doing a lot of gigs, I would definitely be thinking about which cymbals I bring depending on the room I'm playing in. So, hope that helps, Jack. But I think any Paistes are cool. Old Paistes are cool. New Paistes are cool. I love Paiste. All right. Paiste, you hear that? Maybe I'll get an endorsement someday. Probably not. All right. Next question comes from Lori Jones. Lori Jones says, do you know anything about the Catalina Club Jazz Kit? Looking for something a bit more portable and not too expensive. Great question, Yuri. I love the Catalina Club kits. Now, I don't own one, But I even thought about selling my little Gretsch jazz kit, which you will see in a minute. That little Gretsch jazz kit, I even thought about selling that bass drum so I can buy myself a Catalina club in like a cool color, cool Gretsch color. Because I think the Catalina clubs sound great. They're mahogany. They're not birch. They're not maple. They're mahogany. So they're not, I mean, you can tune mahogany up, but mahogany's got like a fatness to it. So I really dig the Catalina clubs. I think my friend Jim's got one. Jim flies too. He's got a set of them. He likes them. He plays a lot of jazz gigs on them, apparently. So that's cool. So yeah, if you can find one of those kits, I would recommend it. That's my favorite travel kit. And by the way, the older you get, the less you want to bring drums around. I would never bring this kit on a clubbing gig. Like, oh, I got a club date. We're playing in a club, making $50. Let me bring the big Octa Plus. No way. That's for the studio. This is for the studio. Or my other Gretsch kit with all the toms. Never. I might bring one tom, one floor tom, one kick drum, and a snare. That's kind of my thing. Or two. So I have a kit that I use for traveling. And it's got an 18-inch bass drum. It's got a 6.5 by 10, an 8 by 12, and a 14 by 14. And I use that when I travel and do things and pick whatever snare I want to bring. And a couple cymbals. That's my road kit for around town. So yeah, have a small kit for traveling. You don't need a big kit for that. Big kits look cool on YouTube videos, though. I wouldn't get rid of the big. I love this kit. This is fun for YouTube. The other kit, fun for YouTube. It's great that I have two kits, double-headed, single-headed. I don't have to keep changing stuff out. Like one of my friends on YouTube basically said that. I only have one room. I don't want to change stuff out all the time. It's a pain to change stuff out. So Yuri, thank you for the question. Now, my next question comes from Drummer 78. He's looking at Hang On Sloopy, the big kit, with the 18-inch floor tom. By the way, Hang On Sloopy, I threw the 18-inch floor tom in. I think it was very similar to the part that was played. I think there was an overdubbed tom part on there. I was trying to throw that in. Is this setup homage to Hal Blaine? Okay. Yes. This concert tom kit is very much paying homage to Hal Blaine and his monster kit because I took the covering off. These are fiberglass pearl drums. Fiberglass pearl is different than Blamire. Okay, Hal had a Blamire kit that was fiberglass toms, no covering on them, concert toms. This is fiberglass pearl. They did have covering on them. Pearl sold these drums with covering. Most of these drums were either white or blue or a color I don't know. This tom is the 8 by 10 today. I moved the 6.5 away, so I got 5.5 by 6, 5.5 by 8. I got 8 by 10, 8 by 12, 10 by 14, 14 by 16. I've got a 12 by 15 on a rack for my floor tom. And then I got a 16 by 18 floor tom. This was blue. The 6-inch was blue. This 8-inch was white. I'm not sure what these two toms were. I bought them naked like this, and all the rest of the drums were white. The bass drum is a maple Gretsch. It's not pearl. I put a pearl mount on it. When I set all the toms up, it's really paying homage to Hal Blaine. This is my favorite setup. This is more like Nigel Olsson, to be honest. Nigel Olsson played at 6, 8, 10, 12. And then he played a 14, 16 like a floor tom. I do that occasionally. This is my modified. It's also a modified Danny Seraphine kit. When I saw Danny Seraphine play the kit, he had a 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. I think he had a 14 by 14 floor tom. Tate Berkey may say I'm wrong, but I still, to this day, from the pictures, to me, it was a 14 by 14. I know Danny told Modern Drummer it was a 16 by 16. All right, let's debate floor tom sizes. It wasn't a 16 by 18. I love the 16 by 18, by the way. But fitting that here is a little bit, pushes everything out a little bit. I like these drums to kind of wrap around me. So yeah, it's paying homage to Hal Blaine to some extent. Especially when I set the whole kit up. But I love them. This is fun. And they sound great on 70s music. They sound great on 80s, some 80s music. So I really enjoy them. So, yep, Hal Blaine was definitely part of the inspiration. Now, I could set him up like Neil Peart, do the Neil Peart thing, and then put some double-headed toms here and floor toms and do the Neil Peart thing, but I'm not a Neil Peart guy, so I'll just be honest about that. If I ever do a Rush tune, you guys all yell at me anyhow because I didn't do it right. All right, last question. I moved this to the last question. This is another Greg one-off question. He said, this is on Spyro Gyra. It doesn't matter. I never heard this song, he said. That's the first thing he said. I've heard songs from this band, but never this song. I get it. This is off of the album, I think it's Morning Dance. I think that's the name of the album. That's my favorite song off there, Morning Dance, the favorite one. So he said, I noticed you had another drum kit at 0.5. So in the video at 0.5, you can see a little picture of my maple Gretsch kit stacked in the corner. He said, why don't you use that set very much? Well, that's a good question, Greg, why I don't. To be honest, I have 2 kits set up. And I have used that kit. Last year, I used the maple Gretsch kit on a Steely Dan tune, the one that Rick Marotta played. Dum dum bum, dum bum bum. I can't remember the name of the song. Dum 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 do dum bum, do do bam, do do bam, do do bam, do do bam. Something alive. Keep me alive or take me alive. Take me alive. Don't take me alive. I think the song's called. I played that kit except for the bass drum. And why don't I change bass drums? Because the 20 sounds better. I've got it mic'd up a certain way. This kit is a small jazz kit. So, Greg, the magic of camera work. Here we go. Let's see the other kit set up. Okay, I'm back. It's my other kit. Got some Zildjians on this kit today. Now, this is the other tom. This is a 70s concert tom that had triple flange hoops that I put die casts on. By the way, a little secret, if you ever see a 6 lugs 10-inch tom, it was a concert tom. Gretsch made their concert toms with 6 lugs, but their double-headed 10-inch toms are 5 lugs, just like their 12-inch tom is a 5 lug. That's a little Gretsch thing. So all Gretsch double-headed toms with die-cast hoops are 5 lugs if they're 10s and 12s. This was a concert tom. I had the bearing edges done by Resurrection Drums. They even put the badge on it. Can't keep this badge in the right place no matter what I do. And I did the lugs and I put them together. A lot of times when you see these 6.5 by 10s, you'll see the lugs kind of staggered. I did not stagger the lugs. So anyhow, this is unique. This is my drum. It's my creation. I did a lot of work on this drum, just so you know. Boom. This 12-inch tom was a drum I bought from some guy in college for $10. This and a 20-inch bass drum. I think it was $15 total. I mean, I gave it to my friend Scott Hazen. It was blue, marine, sky blue pearl, I guess. He ripped it off and turned it into this. And he got this bass drum from a friend of ours from back when I was taking lessons from Scott named Phil Haberman. And this is an 80s stop sign badge. I think it's a stop sign. This is not a stop sign. It's the square badge, Gretsch, around 1980. This bass drum has a Ludwig mount on it. I put this on for an L-arm. I have an L-arm for this. It's an 18-inch bass drum. Scott painted the hoops black. Okay, I never redone the hoops. And the floor tom that it came with the kit was a Slingerland 14 by 14. I sold that, picked up a maple Gretsch from about 2007 or 8. Maple Gretsch. So it's maple colored on the outside and maple shell, 6-ply, I guess. No silver sealer in this. I bought the pearl die-cast hoops for it. And for $125, I didn't want to spend the money on a floor tom. By the way, this bass drum probably would sell for almost $1,000. This tom I could probably sell for $300 or $400. This tom I'd probably get $200 for, $300 today. I'd probably get $300 for this tom if I sold it. If I sold it in pieces. And like I was saying before with the Catalina club kit, I thought about doing that at one point, just to get a brand new Catalina club kit altogether. Now, this 18-inch bass drum's got an EMAT head on it. And the heads on these drums are vintage A's. So there was a question back that I didn't answer. What drum heads am I using today? I've used just about every drum head there is out there. So, but I didn't answer that question. I'm just remembering I didn't. That drum kit, my Hal Blaine style kit, my concert tom kit, has got coated ambassadors on it. My other Gretsch kit in the other room has got, that kit has vintage A's on it, new vintage A's. And this has 19, no, actually not 19, it's 2000-ish, 2000s vintage A's on these. So this has got a vintage A that has this kind of logo on it. It doesn't have the Remo logo. It's got the more vintage A when they reintroduced these. So I got vintage A's on these. Now the difference between a vintage A and a coated ambassador is a vintage A is a 2-ply head. It's 7 and 3.5 mil. So it's almost an Emperor, but not quite. Emperor is 7, I think it's 7.7 on an Emperor. So an A is 7 mil. So a vintage A has got a 7 mil and a 3.5. I believe that's what it is. But you can go to the Remo website and see if I'm right. But I know it's 2 plies. These are great heads. So these drums sound great. If I put a mic on them, they're fine. Matter of fact, I probably do need to set them up sometime and do it. And with the kit today, I have my Noble Coolie. By the way, just to show you guys the new Noble Coolie head. I got this head from Maxwell Drums. I won it. They were trying out 14 snare drum heads. And this was one of them. I put in for the Ambassador or the Evans 56 style, fiberskin style head, and the calfskin. I was really hoping for the calfskin, I'm not going to lie. Because calfskin heads are expensive. They didn't give it to me. They gave me this Ambassador. I'm thankful to the Maxwell Drum Shop. It's an Ambassador fiberskin. Drums are very open. Cymbals, Avidus 22-inch ride, a little on the heavier side. It's about 2,700 grams. This is my Carote 19, and this is my Armon beautiful baby ride with 3 rivets. That's the way they come, that Mike Fasano gave me. So I cherish this cymbal. This is one of my favorite Zildjian cymbals. It's actually got a great bell. And 14-inch Carotes. These are some of my Zildjians. So, why don't I use this? It's just the hassle of taking stuff down and putting stuff up. It takes time to do this stuff. And I'm blessed to have 2 rooms with 2 complete drum kits mic'd up. I am extremely blessed to have that. So, that's it. I'm glad I set this kit up because my grandies are coming over for Easter. And maybe we'll get to jam out a little bit tomorrow after Easter dinner or before Easter dinner. And we'll have 2 kits, and it's always fun to look at each other and be able to see each other as opposed to the 2 rooms. Anyhow, all that said, thank you for watching Ask Earl Anything. Your questions make the show. Without your questions, I don't have a show. I hope you enjoy this show and get more questions like, why don't you use your Zildjians, blah, blah, blah. Those are great questions. Ask them next time. Till next time, happy Easter. Happy April. God bless. Bye.